Love it.
Good morning, PT Breakfast Club. Tony Maritato here with Dave Kittle. So when we jumped on the call this morning, all of a sudden I was taking notes. I looked up and it was 8:31 and I was like, where did the morning go? And I was telling Dave before we hit go live, I've been in the clinic. I was there for a 7 a.m. eval. I came home, I packed lunches, got my kids off to school. I went for a quick run. I came here and I'm inspired because I was just listening to a podcast and David asked, what time do we start? The interesting thing is, I start when I'm needed, but I've got a PTA, Jeremy. He's amazing. He is like my right hand. He loves getting up early. So we have built the business around his schedule. He wants to come in. He actually commutes about 40 minutes, maybe a little longer to get to work every morning. And so he wants to beat traffic. So he comes in, he starts at like 6:45, 6:30. We have a handful of patients that want to come in at that time. So I'm like, that's fine. We'll make the schedule fit what you want. Somebody said cheers. Cheers from the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy.
Cheers. Good morning.
I have a feeling that might be Jimmy, but I don't know.
With a beer emoji for an 8:30 a.m. Eastern time call. Interesting. Probably PT Pinecast. But
right.
May or may not be.
It's happy hour somewhere. So Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling great, Tony. I look forward to these calls all the time. I think, you and I would do these even if we weren't live and producing content, but obviously it helps both of us to produce content. But I'm feeling great. I'm always energized, minimal sleep, whatever with the newborn, but all is well. And hey, Jimmy McKay, PT Pinecast, checking in the comment section on YouTube Live.
That is amazing, Jimmy. Thanks for joining. You know where the links are. Come join us. So today's outline for today's episode, what I wanted to touch on, I want to revisit an old topic. I want to talk about what are we actually selling, get deep into the weeds about what the consumer is buying, because I promise you it's not physical therapy. I want to talk about upsells and downsells. And these are all going to tie together because so many times we know what the patient might need in the plan of care, but they might not be ready for it, or they might want more than we're currently offering. I want to talk about affiliate marketing. Dave, you asked me last session or last week about, is YouTube worth it? I'm only making $1,000 a month. Like, how is that a reasonable investment? We're going to talk about affiliate marketing and where that really goes.
And I strongly disagree with Tony. So that's a little cliffhanger for you guys to tune in later.
Awesome. And then we'll talk about virtual services. I still beat the drum. Not everybody wants a full plan of care. Not everybody needs physical therapy. We're going to talk about the gap in the market between the people that are coming for 50, 60, 70 sessions a year. And we're going to talk about the people that absolutely won't come. There are people in between that we need to serve. I did a telehealth session last night. We'll touch on that. But all of those second, third, fourth topics relate to what are we actually selling. So in your words, what do you believe you deliver? What are you selling? What gets the person on the other end to give you money?
We are selling a transformation. You had asked me maybe a couple weeks ago about like pain relief and, oh yeah, you sell pain relief. And I said, yeah. And I kind of went along with it or whatever. And I was thinking ever since then, I'm like, man, I don't think that was a good response because yes, people could get pain relief. They could go to Walgreens and get, Bengay or any of the, strong menthol, creams or whatever. They could go get an injection, an epidural or cortisone injection. There's all these potions. There's all these home things, home heat packs, ice packs, whatever. I don't know. I think we're offering or selling a handheld, confident route to change, where people, whether it's orthopedic conditions, neurological conditions, whatever, they want some external help, some potential expert or specialist. And we help take people from A to B. So where they're at right now to where they want to get to. And sometimes where they want to get to is their previous self, their old self, or maybe it's a new version of their current self. And so we try to at least offer and present a transformation in terms of that continuum, and they wouldn't have been able to do it on their own. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been calling us or calling around. So I would say that we offer, or that we sell, a transformation, a change in existence, or a change in lifestyle and behavior, from where they're at right now to a better life, or where they're at right now to where they used to be 5 or 10 or whatever years ago. So any feedback on that before you describe what you guys
Yeah,
offer? Solutions?
let's take that a little bit deeper. So you said it exactly. There's a lot of ways to achieve the outcome, right? If I want pain relief, I could take an Advil. I can use, Bengay. I can get surgery. I mean, there's two extremes right there. I can go on vacation. I can change my job. Like, there's so many different ways to address. What I always try to go second level is, now, okay, we sell the transformation. I can appreciate that. But the mode of achieving that transportation is really important. And so when you're trying to select those clients, why do you think a client says, I've been dealing with this nagging back pain? My surgeon says I need a fusion. My acupuncturist says I need to be a pincushion. My massage therapist says I've got knots, right? So it's like, why am I going to choose Dave Kittle's solution?
Love the question. Those individuals, that ideal clientele, they want that help, that transformation, without the unnecessary or involved medical experience. So whether it's injection, they want the change, but they don't want injections, because they either are afraid of injections, the needle, or they know that a cortisone injection will be helpful for 3 days, 3 weeks, maybe 3 months, whatever. Like, it's a very short life cycle of a cortisone injection typically. And also, surgery sometimes is warranted, sometimes it's not. Oftentimes, some are overperformed compared to other countries. That's a whole other topic. So it's the people that want that change without the necessary medical treatment. So kind of like a natural approach, right? And then we kind of offer that. We bring our knowledge, our experience, our brains, but we're not bringing needles, a surgery. We're not bringing some excess or external factors other than our knowledge, our brains, and then sometimes our hands, depending on the condition. So
yeah, I think the better the viewers can understand and dig into that. I'm going to share a personal experience. I had told Dave last week, the reason why or earlier this week, I guess, the reason why we switched from Tuesday to Monday was because I was scheduled to have a colonoscopy. Now, to go back without being graphic, what's interesting about this is I had gone for an annual whatever with my primary care doc. I didn't have a primary care doc. It probably been a decade or more that I had seen a doc, but I'm 49 now. At the time, I was, 47. I was like, I probably need to go get it. It's free. So first kind of observation, a wellness check or annual visit is totally free, covered by my insurance. I'm paying monthly premiums at a ridiculous rate. Why don't I go get that annual checkup? Right? This is where we start to get into that consumer psychology again. It's not because it's too expensive. It's not because I don't have the time. It's not because I don't see, there's potential benefit. For me, it's a combination of, one, I don't think they're going to give me any useful information. I respect the physician, but I just don't think there's anything there for them to tell me. They're going to be like, all right, you're doing great. Two, I don't want to deal with the hassle of like check-in, scheduling, making sure that I'm not missing other appointments. I probably forgot about something, all of these other things. Three, if you go really deep, there's a little bit of insecurity. What if they do find something? I know 5 years ago, I started dealing with some high blood pressure. There is no reason in the world I should have high blood pressure. And it's not ultra high. It's like 145 over 85, but it's higher than it should be for as active as I am, as much as I work out, as well as I eat, all the other stuff. So anyway, so I'm like, I know deep, 3 levels deep, I don't want to face some potential reality that's out there. When I went to see the doc, Yes, the blood pressure was up. We decided to manage it without medication, just, trying to do some lifestyle stuff. And she said I should go get a colonoscopy. Same exact reason. I don't want to schedule. I don't want to hassle. I've never had an IV. I've never had anesthesia. I've never done any of that stuff. My wife had one. I was fully supportive. I did everything for her. I want her to go get it. I will gladly sacrifice anything for her to go get it. I don't want to get it. What made me finally pull the trigger? I've even had family relatives that were diagnosed with colon cancer that had horrible outcomes because they didn't catch it early enough. I understand the risks. Yet the psychology of, deep down insecurity is I don't want to face the reality. I don't want to see if there is something wrong. I don't want to deal with the repercussions of there being something wrong. I want to live in a fantasy world that I can ignore it until it's too late. And then, morbid thought, but when I go, I go. But that's not the way it ever works. What ends up happening is you catch it when it's too late. Then all the medical intervention comes into play and you're miserable for years until you do pass away. It's a horrible outcome. And I saw it. What's that?
We're getting heavy today.
We are, but I saw it. That's what played out with my mom. Like my mom had uncontrolled diabetes. She went 20 years without managing it. In her mind, she didn't want to face that reality and she thought she's going to die in her sleep, and she didn't. She had multiple brain injuries and strokes and all of this associated with kidney failure and diabetes. And she lived a horrible 12 months at the end of her life until she did finally pass, And so, we hear those stories, we see those stories. You would think as a healthcare provider, we would recognize that for ourselves. So when I think of our clients, our ideal customers, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, it's nice. And I understand sell the transformation, but I also understand we need to understand the vehicle to attain that transformation. And then 3 levels deep, I also understand there's going to be insecurities. I don't want to get weighed because I know I'm overweight. I don't want somebody to show me how out of shape I am. I know my back would hurt less if I was in better shape. On a much lighter note, it's like the person who won't hire a housekeeper to help manage, the house because it's too messy. It's like you're hiring that person to help you deal with the mess. It's the hoarder who won't let anybody come in to help them stop hoarding because they are hoarding. It's just, we're all like that. We don't want to hire a personal trainer because we're out of shape, we're embarrassed. So definitely for cash base, I really think you need to get 3 or 4 levels deep. You need to understand the insecurities that's preventing the person from taking that action. You need to understand, is this the vehicle that will get them the outcome? And do they want this vehicle? I don't buy a new pair of running shoes because I like the running shoes I have. That's the vehicle I want to be in. I drive a 2010 Toyota Highlander. That's the vehicle that I want to take me to work. But other people want to buy a BMW. Other people want $300 Hokas. Everybody is different. You have to find that audience that wants the vehicle you're selling.
So
go ahead. You shared something with me that I thought was cool. Talk about the offer that you saw.
Yes. So this past Sunday was Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there listening, or your mother, if you're listening. The offer was at a restaurant nearby in Brooklyn. And it was a Happy Mother's Day special. It was a $100 Moet bottle, $99, whatever, $99 was the special, and it was and I sent it to Tony. I took a picture of it. It was it was like one of the paper inserts inside the menu, temporary insert in a menu. And it was a full page, like the whole page just said like Happy Mother's Day special Moet bottle, $99. I took a picture of that. I knew I was going to send it to Tony. I didn't get a chance to send it to him until, I don't know, today or yesterday or something. So I thought it was interesting. And first I was thinking, like, I didn't know Moet bottle. Like, I don't, drink Moet by the bottle. But so that means like typically they're more than $100, I guess, because it's $99, like a special on Mother's Day. But in terms of just the dollar amount now in 2024, I was like, wow, this is like, visit, like, someone spends $99 on a Moet bottle, when whether mobile or brick and mortar, they spend a full hour themselves or their therapist or their PTA or whoever spends 53 minutes or whatever it is for approximately the same dollar amount. And I kind of get nerdy sometimes thinking about like commerce and business and like how things are valued and priced and all that. And I don't know. I want to get your feedback, Tony, on, is the Medicare dollar amount, is it shrinking in terms of value? Is it like, or is the Moet bottle priced properly? Is the Medicare 53-minute visit for a PT or whoever, PT or PTA, without the change of PTA codes, or whatever, is like the $99 is like, I just want to get your feedback. I saw it. I was like, wow, like, I guess this bottle for your mother for Mother's Day, you do this once a year. I guess that would be priced decently. Again, I'm in Brooklyn. I know it's kind of in New York City, it's kind of a bubble. So maybe the bottle would be 50 or 60 bucks somewhere else. Maybe, I don't know. But I saw it and I was like, is this priced well? And in comparison to a Medicare visit, I feel like either it's a ripoff, or the Medicare 53-minute visit is significantly undervalued. And it was kind of blowing my mind. So I don't know, Tony, what do you got for me on this?
Yeah, it goes back to, what are you buying? You're not buying a bottle of wine. And I might be wrong. I always thought it was Moet, but I don't.
Moet, I don't know.
Also
It's French. I could be saying it incorrectly.
maybe I also say Target. So who knows? When you look at what you're buying, you are not buying a bottle of wine. You're buying a gift for your mom. And if you spend $10 on a gift for your mom, you're gonna get mauled. Like, so that's really what it is. And just like I said, I would do anything to get my wife in a medical appointment that I think is helpful, beneficial for her. I'd pay any price. It doesn't matter. When you're buying a gift, the more you spend to a certain degree, you're doing that intentionally to show how important the person is. Conversely, when we look at Medicare and Medicare reimbursement, and this is, what I always say, it's like, Medicare is not paying for all the extra certifications we have. Medicare is not paying for the best possible level of service. Medicare isn't even paying for a positive outcome. If they were, they would reduce payment and penalize therapists who have a negative outcome. Medicare is paying for a commoditized procedure code. That is it. You and I see the same patient for the same condition. I make my patient take 15 minutes to do 3 sets of 10 straight leg raise. I am going to receive the same compensation. You take somebody who has, horrible outcomes. They discharge patients prematurely. They hate people. They're burnt out. They're fed up. They're going to get paid the same rate as somebody like you who goes above and beyond miles, And so this is where I do think this is coming from way outside the profession, and I can't quite remember what it's called. But when I buy a piece of real estate, if I want to accelerate the depreciation on that real estate, I will have an appraiser come in. I will have them give me like an itemized appraisal of different components. So my building, I think commercial property, it's like 39 and a half years depreciation, but the roof is going to depreciate quicker. The windows are going to depreciate quicker. I can do accelerated depreciation on a building because I have that special report that's provided. I get better tax benefits. When we look at physical therapy, it's kind of the same thing in the sense that Medicare is paying for procedure code 97110. Doesn't matter how much above and beyond you deliver, that is what they are paying for. And when therapists want to increase their knowledge, improve the patient care experience, do all of these extra things, they're doing it at their own expense because Medicare is not paying you to do those things. And ultimately, Medicare is the customer. Medicare is who is paying us. You could call them the employer or the customer. It is not the patient. But that's where we get into, okay, so how do we deal with this? What if I want to deliver a premium experience? I want my Medicare beneficiary to also receive sleep hygiene education. I want them to receive like nutritional counseling. I want them to receive mindfulness. I want my Medicare beneficiary who is a successful executive and understands the importance of accountability. I want to be able to call them at 5 a.m. in the morning to make sure they get out of bed and to ask them how they're feeling. And I want to basically be that personalized concierge, pain relief provider. I can't do that on a Medicare budget, and Medicare is not paying me for that. So that's where we go into the upsells and the downsells. And we're like, well, I get a referral. Medicare brings that person into my ecosystem. It opens the door. Then what I'm looking at is my upsell is, hey, we have this accountability service. Most of the clients know they need to do XYZ. They just don't know how to make themselves do XYZ. And so we created this accountability program where every morning at 6:30, I'm going to personally call you. We're going to review the plan for the day. We're going to talk about what you're going to eat. We're going to talk about what your exercise program is going to be. And we're going to do these things. And for a service like that, it's $500 a month. And we're going to call you every single day. Okay, I can't do that. That's too expensive. Okay, no problem. So we have a downsell. You don't say that part, but we have another offer for individuals that are a little more price sensitive. And basically what it is it's an automated service, and so you're going to get an automated call. You're going to answer voice message. You're going to tell us what you're doing. You're going to do these things. It's not a human on the other phone. It's a machine on the other phone, but there's still that level of accountability and tracking and information. And that costs $99 a month, and so you give them these different options. In your world, if somebody reached out to a cash-based provider, a genuine plan of care might be $5,000. The patient's like, I can't do that. Okay, the downsell is a single session for $500. It's not a full plan of care, but I will deliver you a full plan of care. It's a comprehensive evaluation, plan of care, goal establishment, lay everything out, and you do the rest on your own. $500 is still a heck of a lot more than what an insurance-based evaluation is going to be, but it's a heck of a lot less than what a 12-week, $5,000 plan of care is going to be. So upsell, downsell, like having those options available, I just don't see enough providers doing that. Do you have anything like that?
Just this week, I have a real life example of an upsell that we just did in our practice. Now, I'm kind of like, we've said before, like I'm trying not to really see many new patients or whatever, but we have this one it's kind of unique. I don't want to really get into it, but there's some mental cognitive components, and the partner of the patient is like very gung-ho about our practice, and they love the value proposition and all that. Okay, so myself, one of my other therapists, we were seeing kind of co-treating or seeing this person, this client in their apartment. Client was just hospitalized. Now, I've done this in the past, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, Tony, but like I've also with my practice, and it's on my liability. Like I take the risk, whatever. I've gone into hospitals because the patients, the family, they understand what we do. They like us, they trust us, whatever. And they'll go into these different hospitals in New York City, and like either the therapists are understaffed, or they say like the physician or whoever is like, no, you don't need physical therapy. The family overrides that, and they say to the floor manager or the nurse manager or whatever on the floor, can we bring in our private physical therapist? And most of the time they're like, yeah, no problem. And if anything needs to be signed, they'll sign it or whatever. Liability is on them and on us, and I'm not an employee or whatever. So just this week, and now, so today is Thursday. So tomorrow, I'm going to be going into one of these hospitals via my private client who we've did in the client's home. And for dollar amount, so to be very candid, the charge per visit in the home has been $250 per visit for approximately like a 60-minute home visit. And now it's what I know, because I've done this before, it takes longer to get in and out of a hospital, right? There's the elevator stops longer to check in and out of, there's security, there's like the little, like the metal detector sometimes. It kind of slows down my therapist, whoever my therapist, their day. So I said to the wife over email, and I kind of wanted to maybe redact some of this and screen share it, but I didn't have time. So I'll just verbalize it. And I said, hey, happy to do that. I can make that happen. I said, did you hear back from the other therapist? She said, no, not yet. I said, all right, I'll do it just because I'm trying to help this patient out in a short time frame. And I said, yeah, but we charge $300 a visit for that. So now, and then she replied yes in email. So she agreed to it. And so that's an example of an upsell where it's a little bit out of the way for me. It's a little bit more. And I probably could have said 350 or 400. And I know New York City is a bubble. And I know there's a lot more price elasticity here than somewhere else. But it's an example that for what we offer, I'm going to basically do the same type of thing. It's just going to be in a different place. It's going to go from the apartment to a hospital. And she said that the floor that they're on has like a therapy room and a stationary bike and this and that. And so we have access to some equipment or whatever. But other than the liability, if you take the liability out and a therapist externally going into a hospital and now basically treating a patient who is private, if you take that out of the equation, it's a good example of an upsell because they see the value. We are able to capture a little bit extra value monetarily for my extra time navigating in and out of the hospital. And if my other therapist, if they want to continue doing these visits without me and they do it, and they might say to me, well, this is a hassle. It takes longer to get in and out of the hospital, whatever. And then I might be able to say, hey, I'll pay an extra 20 or 25 or whatever dollars from that extra bump in the upsell to cover their extra work or commute. And I've done this with other therapists in the past. Like I needed coverage for some of my other patients and clients. And some of my therapists might say like, oh, it's a 15-minute walk to go from the subway to this apartment. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So like what dollar amount do you have in mind? Like, and then sometimes we'll add that onto the patient's charge. But this is a good example of $250 base visit fee in an apartment home visit. Setting is now changed. It's a different setting. Family, patient, client, whoever decision maker has agreed to the higher dollar amount. And so that's just a real life example right now of an upsell that we've done.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I definitely think it could have been significantly more than $50. And it goes back to what are you selling? You're not selling the commoditized physical therapy service that Medicare is buying. You're selling access, you're selling convenience, you're selling peace of mind. We know so many patients going into a Medicare-based situation. So many patients are not coming for the workouts. They're not coming for even, the functional improvements. They're coming because they like the socialization, they like the community, they like the physical therapist, they like being center of attention. I mean, how few people actually get somebody to listen to their stories for 60 minutes, and that's really what we're delivering. I think for too long, we've kind of played a little card game, that 3-card Monty where we're moving things around, where we're like, to Medicare, oh, we're selling functional, improvement. We're selling the ability to bathe and dress and feed and groom. But to the patient, we're like, yeah, come on in. We're selling you community, belonging, socialization. I think those elements have far more value than Medicare is paying, but that is because Medicare is not paying for those services. Medicare is paying for me to teach the person how to perform certain things, how to improve, their functional performance. And I always go back to, I ask in my Facebook group, people who have had a total knee replacement, what were your goals for physical therapy? I know I didn't have a single person who said I needed to be able to feed myself. I needed to be able to dress myself. I needed to be able to get to the bathroom. Nobody said that was their goal for physical therapy. Every one of them said, I want to travel recreationally. I want to travel. I want to garden. I want to hike through the mountains. I want to play with my grandkids. None of those are covered benefits. None of those are covered goals under the Medicare benefit policy. Yet that is what every one of them was going for. And two wrongs don't make a right. Just because the surgeon provided the total knee replacement to get that patient recreational goals, I would say that was done incorrectly. the therapist shouldn't be giving those treatment plans for recreational goals. But the fact that we don't say we're treating you so you can dance and you can play and you can run in the park and you can play pickleball, but we know that that's what we're actually doing, I think that right there is the biggest red flag for us as a profession, and if we're going to sell a premium service, if we're going to sell goals that are not covered by Medicare, it should be sold to the consumer, not changed so that it falls under the Medicare coverage policy. But that's my soapbox on that.
Well, and I love your point, because tying back into what are we actually selling, and now with the upsells and downsells, if you speak the language of your patients and clients, especially if you're out of pocket, we accept and bill some out of network insurances, but we're over 50% private pay, where we have their credit card on file, they're paying 100% of the rate out of pocket. When we're sending things like receipts and communication to patients, sometimes it's the son or daughter. So if the patient is 70, 80, 90, whatever years old, sometimes the decision maker and the contact person is the son or daughter. We're using things like we're saying words like longevity, things that they care about. Like they look around, they go on Google, they go on websites, they're looking around for help, right, for their son or daughter, or for their mother, father, or themselves. And for a specific group of the population, including the client who I'm going to go see tomorrow. So the spouse of that client, that spouse doesn't necessarily care about us or what we do or our Google reviews or whatever. But what that spouse cares about is more years with their partner on this earth. So they want the partner to be alive, to stay healthy, to stay well, to stay moving.
Right.
And they look around, they probably call a bunch of places, maybe try a bunch of places, maybe they've tried trainers, maybe they've tried different physical therapists, whatever. And they want the longevity. They want that partner to stay around longer. And they want it to be with a provider or a professional that obviously that the partner gets along with, right? So that the provider like us, we have to be, I say like commensurate, or we like consummate professionals. We come in, but also like empathetic and connect with those patients or clients. And when we say things like the longevity and the things they care about, magically they retain us longer compared to someone else, because I know those emotional triggers. I know, but at the same time, like Tony, like I'm not trying to sell them extra surgeries or injections or whatever. We're offering this natural hands-on help and care for longevity, and it actually does work. And so that's what we're selling. And my point of saying this is, when you know the emotional triggers and the things that the decision maker cares about, it's a lot easier to then offer those upsells, or they'll be more likely to take you up on those upsells.
Yeah, you guys can't see it. I'm on the Mayo Clinic website. I remember this on one of the podcasts that I was listening to. Mayo Clinic has this executive health program. I'm not sure if this is exactly the same one. I think it is. But basically, when I look at this, I want to say the numbers I heard was like it's a $10,000 program. It's a battery of tests. They look at multiple things. And some of the language they use on the website, first, they call it an executive health program. That right there tells you this is for CEOs. This is for people that are making multiple millions of dollars a year. They focus on, okay, it says a one-on-one consultation, but then it says designed with your time in mind. When I'm in my clinic and I'm treating a Medicare beneficiary who lives in the community, who might be independent living, but doesn't have family around, is a widow or a widower, they're not trying to save time. They're looking for ways to spend their time. They want to be with people that they enjoy, because the rest of the day, we all do it. We're like, oh, what are you doing the rest of today? And they're like, nothing, going home. Maybe they're going to garden a little bit. This website says comprehensive care, seamless experience, preventative health, wellness. Right there, saying preventative health and wellness eliminates this as a covered service under a Medicare policy. There are people out there who will do this, and we can't put our value of $1 and impose it on their value of $1, because for them, $300, $1,000, these are very different numbers than it is for you or I. That being said, you said, why am I, and I want to hear your disagreement, why am I putting so much time and effort into YouTube and other stuff when I'm only making $1,000 a month? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I thought in regards to affiliate marketing or just YouTube in
Well,
general?
YouTube is going to tie into affiliate marketing, but yeah, like I do affiliate marketing. And for those who don't know, basically I'm in the clinic. I use a ice pack, Chattanooga ice pack. I can sell it in the clinic for $40. A patient can buy it online for $20. If they don't want to spend $40 and they want to buy it for $20, I give them an affiliate link and I make a 2% commission on that. So I'm making a 20-cent commission on, a $20 product. So obviously it's not making me rich. There's a method to the madness, but I want to hear from Dave kind of what you were thinking.
Okay, so here's an example. Years ago, I don't know if you, the website mahalo.com, Jason Calacanis, who is like the main host of Weekend Startups, now the very popular All In podcast.
Sure.
So he's been a tech entrepreneur for years. This is just one example. So he had a website called mahalo.com. They were doing basically like how-to videos. It was like a mini YouTube. It was like how-to videos for like anything, like, how to caulk your shower, like literally how to unclog, whatever, like how-to videos. And he gave an example of saying something like they were doing like X millions of dollars in ad revenue, and it was all through like Google AdSense or whatever. And then there was this thing called the Panda update. So there's always updates with Google, and there's different names or whatever. And like overnight, his traffic to mahalo.com via Google, so the traffic from Google search queries from Google to mahalo.com was like obliterated. I think it was close to like 90% of his traffic was gone. Long story short, he kind of like just killed that company, or if that company kind of morphed into like the launch accelerator and the whole launch thing and his angel investments or whatever. But that's just one example. There's a lot of examples. I think unless you are someone like Tony, and listen, you are like, I know you kind of joke, Tony, that you're kind of like the common man, but like there's not many therapists or people out there that are as savvy and clever or intuitive, or someone who sticks to something over time that is needed for affiliate marketing, that is needed to actually make a living and grow something through affiliate marketing. So my thought again with affiliate marketing, unless you're like Tony Maritato or Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels or one of those guys, when the traffic can just be pulled out from underneath you, and you're going from, you're saying $1,000 a month in affiliate revenue, right? And then let's say, next month it's only $100. Like, I think you would get pissed off. I think you would just walk away from affiliate marketing altogether. I would. And so that is my biggest issue with affiliate marketing, is that unless you have like a big email list and you sell the links, or you pass on those links, and you have a big strategic plan on how to get a gigantic funnel at the top, so that when a patient buys a hot pack or an ice pack and you get 2%, you're offering that to, let's say, I don't know, every patient via every practice's website across the country or something. It's meaningful. But I just don't think all the work and the cognitive brain focus that is needed to like ramp up to where you've gotten to $1,000 a month in affiliate marketing, I just don't think it's worth it, because then it could just be pulled out from underneath you. And at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know how much time you have a lot of different projects. You got real estate, you got your family, you got your practice, you got all the content, YouTube stuff. I don't know how much time you're putting into the affiliate marketing stuff specifically. I just don't think it's worth it at all. For anyone watching or listening, for anyone in any Tony Maritato's Facebook groups, I suggest you never focus on affiliate marketing. Don't even worry about it. Tony's laughing. He's smiling. Hopefully he doesn't yell at me, but I want to hear his feedback.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I've had this conversation with multiple people. So let's kind of break down, how this all works. Cause I know so many therapists, and I've been asking this question, and that's why it's top of mind. I know so many therapists are like, I want to do it. I want to do it. Um, so here's the deal. When I was trying to think of what's really the investment that would need to be made and what's the sacrifice that would happen with that investment. If I took an hour a day, 5 days a week to create one piece of content per day, and that's working really efficiently. Like I could do one piece of content, whether we're talking about a blog post, a YouTube video, whatever, 1 hour a day, one piece of content, 5 days a week in a month, with days off for the weekends and stuff. I'm generating about 20 pieces of content in a year, assuming I'm going to miss some days and fall off the wagon and whatever. Let's say I can get to 100 pieces of content. And the reason why I'm saying pieces of content is because if I want to create an affiliate link for like a cervical traction unit, I don't want to sell cervical traction units in my clinic, but I think a cervical traction unit's a nice toy that people can play with. It's $300. For certain cervical conditions, it does really well. So that's one piece of content. It could be a blog post that explains how the cervical traction unit works and how to resolve neck pain using a cervical traction unit, some precautions and indications and contraindications, stuff like that. When I look at, 100 hours over the course of a year, 100 pieces of content, if I'm really, really consistent, 100 hours of $100 reimbursement if I was treating patients on Medicare, it's $10,000, right? So if I put that same 100 hours into generating affiliate links and content and everything, I'm not going to make $10,000 in a year. So if I put that time into patient care, I'm absolutely going to make a return on my investment that far exceeds what I would make with affiliate income and affiliate marketing. 3 years. So I do it for the first year and then I kind of cut back, and that's the way I typically operate. I burn out. I've stopped doing it the second and third year, but over the course of, multiple years, I would probably get to $1,000 a month. I would probably hit a break-even point. But this is a long-term investment. So like, why would I want to do that? Well, one, there is going to be a lot of people listening to this podcast that are like, I just don't want to do more patient care. I understand I could do 5 more hours of patient care. I understand it's a guaranteed $500, but I don't want to do more patient care. I want to do something else. 2, there's going to be a tiny sliver of those individuals that will go viral. They will hit, a topic that'll bring multiple thousands of dollars into their pocket. When you look across my affiliate income just from products, hundreds of pieces of content, maybe thousands, there's probably 5% that generate the bulk of the income for me. 3, I'm developing new skills. So I'm learning how to use ChatGPT to write content. I'm learning how to rank articles and do SEO. I'm learning how to create YouTube videos, create a YouTube channel. 4, you and I talk about this all the time. It's a gateway. It's an entrance. And when we go back looking at the topics we discussed already, if I'm just trying to earn a living with affiliate income from Amazon, it's never going to happen. But like, this has taken me down a path where now I have affiliate products that are paying me a $600 commission, one-time sale, $600 commission. And I believe in this product, genuinely. Like, I know this is a good product to achieve the goal that the product is selling. Just like you mentioned with the Panda update, my Choose PT website, I lost 70% of my traffic with the most recent update, but I've diversified across Pinterest and LinkedIn and other ways. So I'm finding other places to grab my traffic. I think the challenge for physical therapists is the same challenge we see in our patients. Our patients are like, or physical therapists are like, I need more money. Okay. Our patients like, I want to get stronger. Okay. The physical therapist, It's like, I need more money, but I only want to make more money getting paid a higher rate for doing what I'm doing. And I don't want the patient to pay anything out of pocket. So I'm only going to treat Medicare beneficiaries. Like you're putting so many restrictions on the outcome that you want. The patient is like, I want to feel better. I want to get stronger, but I don't want to lift any weights and I don't want to sweat and I don't want to be sore after a workout. Like, come on, we need to find some sort of compromise. So when I look at affiliate marketing, I look at what therapists want. I'm taking people down the road of saying, okay, the basic affiliate marketing is never going to put more than a couple $100 in your pocket on a good month. But that shouldn't be that's not really the goal. The goal for you is more income. So why don't we take people who are looking for a TENS unit, Googling TENS unit, Googling best TENS unit device. Why don't we create content for specific conditions using the TENS unit, right? So like obviously low back pain, but then I like to use a TENS unit post-op knee replacement when the patient's trying to do a full revolution on the bike. We'll slap a TENS unit on. It'll give them a little stimulus. It'll distract them from the discomfort. And a lot of times they'll all of a sudden be able to get a full revolution, right? I'm going to create condition specific, scenario specific uses for the TENS unit in my content. That content is going to bring people into my ecosystem who I will then say, you can just go to Amazon and buy a $20 TENS unit and I'll get a 2% commission. Or, and Dave, you know, I used to do this, or you can buy my 3 video course package for $99 and get the TENS unit. Or you can buy a one-on-one consultation for $199 and also get my 3 video course and also get the TENS unit. And so that funnel is going to take people through where there's going to be some who just buy the TENS unit. That's great. It'll pay for ad revenue maybe. But then I'm going to have the group that'll buy the video package. That's where the profit comes in. And then I'm going to have a couple that are like, I need to talk to him directly. I want to talk to him directly. And that plays into last night and multiple, probably once or twice a month. I'll get somebody who's like, I don't want to come to the clinic. I don't want to do physical therapy. I just need you to answer my question. And here, let me pause that. What are your thoughts on affiliate marketing not being for the affiliate income, but being the lead generation tool to take that person into higher value services?
I love the ascension into the higher level services. You showed me the examples before. I love the options of, you can go buy this TENS unit on Amazon for $20. You can buy it in my office for $40, or all of a sudden you repackage it, but you add value to it by saying, for whatever you said, $199, it's a however consult with me or one of my therapists, plus the TENS unit, plus the videos, the explainer videos that you have lifetime access to. So even if you go home and you forget how to use it, or in 3 months, your spouse wants to use it, here's the explainer videos. Here's exactly how to set it up, take it off, care for it, whatever, change the batteries, whatever the videos describe. I am a lot more intrigued with that, where you can now say, here's like a different package with kind of the same product, but now you're adding value to it, and now it's a higher dollar amount. But yeah, I don't get excited for the $20 to $40, but when it's multiple hundreds, yes, I'm interested, or thousands,
Yeah.
then certainly it could be interesting.
That's where I think for most clinicians it needs to go. Now, if your goal is to be an influencer, your goal is to grow 100,000+ subscriber YouTube channel where you're promoting products, which then lead into potentially an equity deal. You're going to be Logan Paul and you're going to own equity in Prime. Completely different story. But knowing that most clinicians today are not going to go down that road, I think the value in this is it's just another way to bring people into your ecosystem earlier in their journey. They're not searching for physical therapists for back pain yet. They're searching for a TENS unit for back pain. And that introduces them to your other services. So that being said, when I'm doing a virtual consult like I did last night, here's the scenario. The individual, actually kind of an interesting story. I'll share some of the details, but not all of them. This individual had previously been a professional basketball player in the European WNBA. This individual, local individual, easily could have gone to my clinic. I've treated family members of this individual in my clinic, but this particular individual didn't want to come. They just wanted a quick consult. So we jump on. It's a FaceTime. I finish, my boys play baseball. The baseball game's over. I jump on a FaceTime, not a FaceTime. It's like a FaceTime, but it's a HIPAA compliant FaceTime. And basically, she's just like, hey, here's the deal. I've got this pain. It's like middle of my back. It started about 2 weeks ago. There was nothing that I particularly did that triggered it. I didn't know, this is a quote, I didn't know if I should go see a chiropractor, if I should see a massage therapist or a doctor. What should I do? And so we start going through, I'm like, well, obviously you're a tall, individual. You're physically fit still. This person coaches basketball still. They're super active. I'm like, because of longer lever arms, plus you're a new mom. You're picking up your little one. Your little one's getting bigger. Yeah, like all of these things are going on. I'm like, so I ask a couple questions. All of her symptoms are consistent with like a T4 syndrome, little bit of inflammation, either at the facet, point tender at the spinous process, but no radicular symptoms into the hands, the fingers. And in about 10 minutes, I'm like, look, here's the deal. It's only been going on a couple weeks. You haven't progressed into any of these other symptoms. You didn't have this before. There was no tissue trauma to speak of. You didn't fall. You didn't get hit. You no impact. I'm like, I know for myself, when I lay off the workouts, I'm at the desk a lot more. I was carrying the babies a lot. I would get exactly the same thing. This is what I want you to research. This is what I want you to consider from a nutritional perspective. And then let's just get 5 to 7 days of good, heavy pulling exercise. And we talked about seated row, lat pull down. We talked about anything that retracts the scapula. I gave a little more information about like, it's not really a muscular issue. So while massage might be nice, it's not going to deal with it. Chiropractors can do a great job manipulating that area, maybe get you a release. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to mess with it, give it the next 5 to 7 days, do these 4 exercises. And this person is well-versed in exercise. They're in great shape. They're super young. I'm like, then just follow up with me and let's see if it'll probably be better, and they're like, that is exactly what I wanted to hear. I knew it was going to get better on its own, but I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted a little bit of confidence to say, I can do this. And the person had stopped doing any of the rows, any of the scap retraction, any of that stuff, because they didn't know if they were going to make it worse. They didn't know if it was dangerous. And my whole job, what am I selling? I'm selling that peace of mind to say, yeah, this presents like a very common pattern. I understand it very well. The odds of it being something worse are very low. Let's start with the simplest solution. Do these things for the next 5 to 7 days, 10 days, then check back in with me. And I think there is such a huge population out there that don't know that that's a possibility. They don't know they can just call or FaceTime or whatever somebody. They don't want a full plan of care, but they also don't want to totally ignore it any longer. They just need that little 10, 15, maximum 20-minute peace of mind session.
Would you kind of call that like triage almost?
I think so. Yeah, 100%. You're that's what you are. You can even say, and this is where the lines get gray. It's like, is it treatment? Is it evaluation? How do I distinguish between a screening, education, evaluation? There's no physician referral. There's no physician involved. It does get a little dicey from a regulatory perspective. We can figure that stuff out. I just don't know, are there enough therapists out there that want to do it? And then if we do go down that road, and we say, and this is my passion, I want to do 20-minute, super simple evaluations for people who don't want to do therapy. I probably have multiple of these in person in the clinic a week. And now you throw on, therapists were resistant before because they didn't want to write the evaluations, because they didn't want to do the documentation for only a single session. Now with AI scribes, I can do it audio record it, let the AI scribe process that and just tweak it, man, I could pump those out like crazy. And I bet it would increase access. I bet it would be tons of more revenue, tons of more profitability. I could do 3 an hour in a heartbeat. There's so many positives to this, and it opens access to a whole different demographic of patient.
Two quick questions, because anyone that's watching or listening will probably have these questions for you about this example. So if you're comfortable with it, what was so you were on the call for 15, 20 minutes. How much did you charge, and how did they contact you? It sounds like they already knew you because you've treated all their family, but in terms of like marketing or like attracting a new patient, if someone's watching or listening, so there's already trust right there, right? Because you already know all the family members. The family member one of the family members probably said, call Tony Maritato. He's, a whiz with all this. He can do some triage, some counseling, whatever. And then was this free, or did you charge for this?
So my publicly posted pricing is $5 a minute. Usually I go through a platform that charges by the minute. They take a 15% cut, but they have the scheduling, they have the texting, they have the reminders, they handle everything, and they cover the credit card processing fee. They take the 15% after the payment is processed, and then they send me the money. That's my publicly posted pricing, $5 a minute. This was a free one because I've seen mom, I've seen dad, I've seen grandpa, and I didn't want to go through the hassle of putting that paywall in front of it. My normal process for this is the inbound comes to me usually through text. This was a text. Then from there, I say, yeah, absolutely, no problem. I could probably do it later today. Use this link, go ahead and book the call, and then we can do it. And this way, I don't even have to feel like I'm selling. I don't have to say it's $5 a minute. I don't have to say this is the cost. They say, hey, I've got this problem. I need some advice. No problem. Here's the link. Go ahead and do it. If they don't want to pay the $5, they just don't book. It's super simple, and it keeps me out of the sales process, but it puts that paywall between me and that individual. But this one was a free one. Most of the time it's the $5 a minute.
So you know what pharmacists call this?
What?
Like this interaction, they call it counseling, right? So like, I know this a little bit more intimately because my school, University of the Sciences, where I went for DPT school, it was like it used to be like a prominent pharmacy school. So like a bunch of my buddies I went to school with, my roommates, all that, college buddies are pharmacists. And now if you work in Walgreens, Rite Aid, all those, like CVS, like they're so busy, they hardly do any of this, but sometimes they will go into an aisle, they'll answer questions. And, some customers like this, or here's my symptoms, and what this or this. And they kind of like help kind of counsel the patient.
Yeah.
They do a small amount of counseling because of the production of scripts every day at all these locations. But that's kind of similar, right? It's like so it's a patient or potential customer or potential client, patient, client, whatever you want to call it. But the pharmacists do this without any real intimate patient. Like they don't know the patient's past medical history. They don't have them sign any paperwork. Like, and you'll do it over the counter, but sometimes historically, like even in the aisle, like they'll help point you out, like, oh, grab this or this or this. And the pharmacist might say this one's better because of this reason, or you're saying you have this specific presentation, so these symptoms, this decongestant or whatever will be better for you or will be worse for you, or you already tried this, so then try this thing. So pharmacists have done this for years. And I think that this is definitely something that we should charge for. I understand why, Tony, you would kind of give it away for free here because of the whole family network. And I get it. I would probably do the same thing. And this is not for every therapist, but it's definitely for therapists who want to put a dollar amount, a value dollar amount to their time. And I like what you also said, which is I'm making it up as we speak. Quick physical therapy or triage physical therapy for people who hate physical therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly the way I tell the physicians too. I'm like, look, I am happy to do a super quick session for somebody who doesn't want to go to physical therapy. somebody who has a high copay, high deductible, somebody who they're going to be non-compliant. They know they're going to be non-compliant. They just need to check the box. Maybe they need an MRI, and the insurance won't pay for the MRI unless they do a therapy session. And the therapist then provides the report to justify the MRI. There are so many situations like this. And unfortunately, most of us, and this will be my parting shot, most of us refuse to provide that because it's not within the framework of what we want to do. We are not in the business of serving those clients, and that's fine. That's your choice. I mean, that's your prerogative. But I genuinely enjoy being able to tell people, no, you are going to be fine. Do this. It's a normal, this is the natural progression of the condition. It will get better. You will be fine. It's okay if it hurts. It's not a dangerous hurt. That's the product that I want to sell.
My parting shot is a little bit along those lines, but you have to know the patient, the client that's in front of you or contacting you, and speaking their language, speaking about the things that they really care about. If you are knowledgeable, if you're savvy enough to understand what they really care about. So it could be someone who only wants one visit and they never want to come into your therapy office. You should know that. Or it's someone who is the partner, the spouse of someone who is 70 or 80 years old, and that patient, that client, maybe doesn't really care about physical therapy, but the partner is the one who found you, and the partner is the one that wants you to help them with the socialization, get them back on their feet so that they can go socialize at your therapy office, Tony's therapy office, go and do the socializing. So this is something like I always kind of nerd out on, but you have to know your ideal patient or client's needs, wants, desires. You have to speak their language. And if you do that, they will open up their purse, their wallet, and pay you any of those like dollar amounts that we're talking about. And we want to lead with that value. And some people, it's not right for. And then some people, they want to stick with your service for years on end. But it starts with speaking their language and knowing what they really care about. And it's not about what we care about, and we're going to push on the same program, the same plan of care for every single patient, no matter what. We need to be flexible and adaptable, kind of what you said, Tony.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.